When Laura Ziskin and Mike Medavoy sent me the first draft of Stealth, we went, I don't really know how to make this movie, which is always a good thing, because if you know how to make it, it's probably been made. The other thing that was appealing was the fact that I've been experimenting with speed on film for the last several movies. Speed is a very interesting phenomenon. Probably nothing as exhilarating or as scary as speed.
Rob, of course, his big commandment is to sell speed. We want to make people feel like they're on the best ride they've ever been on and going very fast.
So if you're passing things quickly, whether they're clouds or buildings or rocks or whatever it is, that's the thing that really makes you feel speed.
Because speed is tied to control. And the more you go fast, whether it's on a skateboard or a car, the less control you begin to experience. So the question is how to ride that edge between discomfort and exhilaration.
Competition. Action!
Update on the current state of the film? Where's that?
Well, we're sort of in an indeterminate state at the moment. We still do not have a true green light. I think that this movie is going to happen, but it's always weird to say that.
This has never been done on film before. So how do you take something that's never been done and you have a big R&D process to see whether you can really actually make this happen? The key thing is we believe we can make it happen, but till it happens, it's scary.
It's been 11 months that I've been working on it nonstop and only on this. I've never seen a movie so struggle to find its form. All I can do is feel the forces coming together, and I'm hopeful that with the casting of Josh, the whole movie just explodes into reality.
Come on! Weapon down! Weapon down! Weapon down!
Weapon on safe and up. Yep. Yeah, that works.
Our biggest battle on this movie is green screenitis. Every little bit of real input that the actor gets is going to keep us on that green screen stage sharp.
The other thing to bring up is that talking to the Spydercam guys who you're meeting, and they have now a 4-axis camera to start anywhere you want, come down and come around and go anywhere and be totally repeatable.
And ideally, all that programming would have been done ahead of time by us, and then the moves are all pre-written based on all of the parameters that you guys have. In fact, we'll show you a little demo with a gimbal.
Here was a story that had challenge, had speed, and had an idea. What happens when technology becomes too important in war?
They literally put in a whole new concrete floor about 10 inches thick. Our floor has to be perfectly level to put a 300,000-pound gimbal on their stage. Something really beyond what we've ever done before. This one was special because of what it had to do. Rob has no fear when it comes to that. It's like, this is what I want to do, and we'll build it.
We're all in the same boat in that money and ideas are related. The more complicated the ideas get, the more expensive. And sometimes you got to go, there's a very simple way to tell this part of the story that's way less expensive. The money, when it's restrictive, makes you really think about what you're saying. It's actually helping you be a better director than defeating your grand vision. We are 2 weeks exactly from starting shooting. I'm getting to make a movie set in the Naval Air Force in the future. I got to design my own jets. I'm playing around with computer concepts that have never been put on film before. I'm getting to do Top Gun meets HAL the computer, or however you want to say stealth is. And I'm getting to work with the actors I wanted to work with: Josh Lucas, Jessica Biel, Jamie Foxx, Sam Shepard, Joe Morton, all these wonderful young talents down here in Australia. So I'm fighting very, very hard to rein in the ideas that have started to sprawl out of control.
My name's Jim Millett. I'm the Assistant Art Director in charge of the aircraft. We've hired a factory in Alexandria, which is about 20 minutes from the studio. Here we've probably got about 100 people. We've got 2 main aircraft we're building. You can see over here, this is the Talon, and this is the Eddie over here.
For this, we probably had the largest crew we've ever had in a model department, and it was pretty crazy at times. A lot of things that we were making, we were looking at the designs and drawings and scratching our heads and thinking, how the hell are we going to make this?
Originally, Eddie came from W.D. Richter, that then I fell in love with and tried to make real. How could he be? What could he look like? The talons are so sleek and wasp-like with the narrow neck and the huge thorax. So I said, okay, the Talon is a wasp. Eddie's got to be like a manta ray. And I read about aeroelastic wings, rubber composite wings that would be pulled by push-pull motors and be like birds' feathers more than flaps.
So we just picked somewhere to start and then just start working towards the shoot date. Anyway, the end result was we still ended up with, it was beautiful workmanship from all concerned. The end result was perfect.
Hello. Hi, Laura. How you doing? Oh, I'm doing well. There's 11 flatbed semis that are going to be caravanning each plane. There's 22 trucks carrying the planes over here. It's been a series of miracles. We're out of the tailspin and we're back nose to heaven and ass to the devil. All right, bye. Man was not meant to go fast. When you think about how we were designed, we can't run as fast as most animals. In our tool use, we extended our abilities. So it isn't our natural psychology to go fast. That's one of the first things I came to grips with. So the question is how to ride that edge between discomfort and exhilaration. I tried to give you not to see and to watch flying, but to fly. You're a pilot. You're in those jets. You're with those people, but you are in those jets experientially. There's a fourth wall that film has. And in order to rip that wall down, you have to create a true first-person experience for the audience. If they thought that they should recommend that people take Dramamine before they go see the movie, I'd be happy.
I'm the first assistant director, and it's an organisational role. You sort of put the pieces of the puzzle together, coordinating all the departments to try and get the director's vision. It's not creative, it's more analytical. Constantly go around, you have what we call sequence meetings, where you have a little action sequence and you sit down with all your heads of departments and say, well, I call it a how-to meeting to try and work out what's going on.
You dream, you write, you plan, you talk, you spin, you think, but there's some special thing about when you see it materialize for the first time. We go, I remember the day I thought that the strategic director should be experimental and modular, game or cool, be someplace that somebody would want to play a computer game. Because in a sense, this new kind of warfare is bizarrely close to the computer game mentality. So you write it down on paper, and then one day you come in 500, 600 people dedicated to making it into something tangible. And that always makes you feel, as a director, very lucky.
Oh, you got the drop tanks and everything? This is brilliant. Holy
Just
God.
from walking through the door, it's like, it's pretty clever.
I want some CPAD.
These engines don't exist. This movie would not be this movie without the Navy.
I need a signed copy of this so I can put it in my office.
We actually went to them really to try to get them to see that there was an advantage for them to do this.
Getting support from the Department of Defense is at first just sending them the script. They certainly have a lot of parameters that they need to fit within, but I found them extremely amenable.
As this is happening, see how he starts it right out of there? That's how you'd get him to miss. Exactly right.
So far, we're doing well.
Yeah, I told you we were doing well.
You would think you were flying over the water, and then a big foot would run through. There's the whole working hangar.
Which day do you want to do that shot?
First day.
First day, okay.
I'd like to just make a big graphic shot. What's stealth gonna be? It's gonna be this. Well,
One shot down, 1,700 to go.
you can always count on Pete.
Well, we're leaving my apartment at the Woolloomooloo Wharf, and it's 6:20 in the morning. And after 15 months of prep, hope, ups and downs, I'm actually going to say action, and cameras are going to actually roll.
Start the production on a non-production note, a little bit of a blessing or prayer, whatever you want to call it. In a world of unemployment and the struggle to make anything, the fact that we're getting the chance is already a blessing. In the end, we just want to make a film and to bring it home safely and with dignity and humanity and with the humbleness in the face of such a wonderful opportunity. So I'd like everybody to join hands and have a moment of silence there, whatever you feel or believe. Let's shoot. Let's shoot. Let's not rehearse. And action. When you are addressing combat control, you have to say, this is Talon 2 to operator, and then say what you've got on your mind.
Wait, so I have to add operator?
Yes.
Unless we're responding to a command, right?
Yes.
Operator to Talons, repeat. Eddie will plant the truncheon. Control, negative. Control, mission critical. 1 will prosecute.
I created the Talon instrument panels to have all kinds of screens. And 2 of the screens were always devoted to the other 2 actors. If you're in Ben Gannon's cockpit, you have Henry Purcell and Carl Wade on your screens. To do that, I put the actors in satellite cockpits on another stage. Most of the time, when they appear to be together, the truth is they're in their cockpits several hundred feet apart, so that when Josh is acting against Jamie and Jess, they're there. And they're acting in real time to him, and they were acting real time to Sam Shepard.
I'm not exactly the lead in the movie, so I don't get a full plane. You know what I'm saying? I get like half. I get half a suit. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm in the movie for half the time, so.
You know what's been really cool on the shoot? Is Mr. Rob Cohen on the didgeridoo. Those soothing basso tones in between takes. We're just so thankful he didn't take up the banjo.
And roll sound.
And action.
Oh, God, nothing's gonna stop it now.
And cut it. Very good. Hey, Ian, did you see that look? Richard took off of Cummins and swung right onto you, and you turned. It was great. Those are the things you want to be doing.
Yeah. The strategic directorate in the corner, we did a lot of work in there, once again with 3 cameras in a tiny space. You know, this is where it's so much fun working with Rob because he allows you to do this and he insists that you do it.
Human vision, people say, is equivalent to a 35mm lens. That's why it's the dullest lens you can pick. The minute you put a wide-angle lens on that thing, you get a little plane and a big guy.
Yeah.
We want big planes and little guys.
Right.
When you shoot, for me, I like handheld long lens, which can give you a way more dynamic, way more specific thing you can find.
Handheld, you normally do it on sort of wide-ish lenses. A long lens would be 180mm, which is a big old lens like this, and that would be as far as you would go. Wrong. Seeing through some of the monitors, seeing through the lights, seeing through cracks. You know, it gave that whole area a wonderful sense of urgency and immediacy. It's good stuff.
It was a difficult situation, and I made a decision.
You made a mistake, Ben.
I know that there's a thin line between indiscretion and
What?
Action.
Woo! You done knocked my face off, boy.
First week is over. It was very overwhelming and I think justifiably crazy. It's been crazy, but it's been fun. It's been fun. It's just, it's scary to jump into something brand new. I have a lot of second thoughts about, am I going to be able to pull this off? And a lot of crying in the evenings. It's really what it's been for me for the last week, but it's been fun.
The minute you meet Jessica, you know that you better have her in the movie because she's just the most amazing, intelligent, strong, looks you in the eye, girl next door, but with an amazing top spin.
This is the interior of one half of the carrier bay on the aircraft carrier. The first time we've been together as a group in the making of this movie, someone said the real key to an action movie is a boy and his gun. Well, in this case, this is our gun.
Ready, and action.
I come from a completely anti-war family, so I was raised to be terrified of war. It's a complete transition of life. It was such an interesting and tough challenge, and that profound things happen to these people in huge settings that are magnificently visual.
And it was so clear to me how Josh had presence and a clarity and a kind of moral center. It's so important for this film to have actors who can work in here. The whole world of his soul comes right through that face. That really made me want him.
I'm the point of the sword up there, sir. And I pulled it off, 100 over 100.
Yes, indeedy, and I congratulate you. Calls been coming in all night.
I wanted Sam Shepard, who is a very strong theater actor that writes these plays, these amazing, dark, twisted, intense plays with that grasp of language. That's the guy I want.
Count 'em 3, that was shit hot. You tell 'em 1, I expect the same out of you.
Well, I love Jamie Foxx. I thought Jamie Foxx was one of the funniest guys and gave 2 of the most incredible film performances in Any Given Sunday and then in Ali. And Jamie has the humanity and the sexuality and the humor to pull all of that off. I said, you know, Neil, this is the 3rd lead. I mean, this guy just did Ray, and he's just started shooting Collateral against Tom Cruise. So Neil was always the optimist. He said, well, let me try. And the day came when they said, we can have Jamie Foxx if the studio will pay him what a star should get. It was a great experience. The 3 pilots are very diverse, very charismatic people.
This has been the most complex attempt at making a movie that I've been on in 40 years. It's so exciting to be here, a part of this, because I don't know if we'll ever witness this again. And it takes a movie of this magnitude to warrant having this sort of equipment.
This is the gimbal. It's going to hold the cockpit so that we'll get all the flying moves, and we'll be knocking the actors around like real gravity. Weighs 83 tons, driven by massive hydraulics, moved around by air bearings, driven by all these servo gears and motors so that I get a perfect banking, yaw, pitch.
Lighting Stage 7 and the gimbal was maybe the biggest lighting rig I've ever undertaken in my life, with maybe the best lighting team there. Sean Conway and his guys, they designed a rig over 2,000 lights. They were 1,000 watts each. It was a big area, and we had to have different colour for night. For the stratosphere, we had like a violet, and then we had a lot of white lights that we could wind down on a dimmer so they could be like the sunset or sunrise. And they put a cross in right down the centre of the light that was simply a strip that ran from north to south and east to west. And they were chaser lights. So if you had the effect of the aeroplane doing that, we could do that. It was an extraordinary rig, and it worked unbelievably well.
We had a freedom that Top Gun never had. The development of CG had become so powerful that now there was a chance to create these jets totally in the infinite bit mind of a computer. Therefore, the camera was no longer restricted, and we're going to shoot on Earth, and we're going to create this other part, and it has to be seamless. So that's the challenge.
I call it the Johnson Space Center, when you get behind the computers that it takes to run this gimbal, at one point there, I know there were 17 computer screens on making this happen.
So we need to take these previses that are moving through world space at Mach 3 and figure out how to shoot them on a stage with a gimbal that only rotates and a camera that flies around. Obviously, we can't get the gimbal traveling at Mach 3, so what we're really interested is in the relative animation between the plane and the camera. The end result is that if you look through the camera on stage and the previs camera, the plane looks exactly the same.
Because I was sitting there going, okay, this is the shot, I have to study the shot, and then I'd have to figure out what I have to do to make the piece for you, right? And now you've figured it out. I don't even have to show up.
The previs will, in theory, go directly into a MOV file. We get the MOV file, the gimbal guys get the MOV file, it goes into the real space, and we shoot it. It's just translating a direct relationship between the previs and what we actually shoot, and not just sort of a guide. It should be, you know, frame to frame. That's the theory.
The gimbal itself is run off hydraulics. If one of the hydraulic hoses busts, the gimbals could fly up, kill a camera, fly down, kill a person. You know, if there's a computer glitch, we can send the camera into the gimbal.
Primarily now we're interested in the integration between us and the gimbal. We're both moving awfully well independently. We'll see if we can move well together.
And shooting.
Gimbal and camera.
Operator to Talon, go. I repeat, Eddie will plant the truncheon.
Negative control. 1 will prosecute. Mission is critical.
Cut. Play back. Why are we getting any chatter at all?
The stabilization gyros just weren't working, which normally smooth out the vibrations from SpiderCam.
25 setups before lunch one day and 2 the next.
We've had a 0 success rate today.
We start the specialty visual effects shots, and we take the big dump. So eventually the yelling and screaming from California will begin.
This morning was horrible. It looked like it was going to be great, but it just went down really fast.
And get everybody ready, and get everybody in, and we're going to start on the drama, because this is just ridiculous. And we're going to have a major rethink of what we're doing here. The shake just seems to be worse. There's something going on between some push-pull, something that's not happening.
It's very frustrating for everybody to be so close, have so much of it working, but some mysterious thing is askew inside the Libre head.
I want to get Josh in here and do the mission. We're going to cover it. We're going to get all that talk and page count and stuff so we understand and get some momentum.
I'm more than happy to just go straight into the drama.
You know, we're like hanging here.
All right, so we'll switch it across to...
We got a few techno wrinkles that will get ironed out. Obviously, it's a hard gear shift to go from 25 setups a day to 6. And the load of work that's ahead seems steeper than it did when I thought we could get all 6 shots today. But I know that the shots we got look like we're flying and look like shots in a jet that never been done before. So there's something to be said about that. I learned yesterday that previs is a trap. And it traps you into thinking, if I render the previs, I'm going to make a really cool movie. And if it was up to the visual effects component of the movie, you would just render the previs, and then they could go away and do their effects. So in a sense, you create your own master, and you become a slave to it. So by getting rid of the Cooper and making the SpiderCam wild from the gimbal wild from everything, and getting the Libre head problems worked out, now I can look at what the previs indicates as opposed to dictates. And I can build from that to a much more exciting shot each time.
Well, this is a Waldo, which is a movie term for a device that controls something else.
It's looking like he's riding a horse, right? Instead of stabbing these turns.
Our goal is to replicate the kind of action that the aircraft would have in an actual fighter combat mission. Now, we don't want to go half speed, we want to go full speed. When you're in an actual air combat engagement where the two aircraft go side to side and then pop into turns, there's nothing gentle about it, nothing smooth about it. And when you do that, it actually will bang your head against the canopy. If you notice how Josh is warming up, he's getting pumped up, he's getting fired up, because when you're in an engagement like this, the blood pressure is up, your heart rate is up, your breathing is up, and it's an athletic event. You're in a big fight, you're in a prize fight right now, and only one person is going to win. Rob wants to make this a very impressive sequence, and that's what we're aiming for.
I don't want to hurt you, man, all right? And I don't want to see billions of taxpayer dollars scattered all over these mountains, but if you make me, I will blast your Aero Elastic gas right out the sky.
When you come over and you see that cloud of dust, the UNO contains nuclear fallout. It's going right towards all those innocent people.
Okay.
It's like you can't even stand to look at it, so you roll back quickly. And then you can have a more private moment with that camera.
Okay.
Your true feelings of shock and guilt is back in here once you've rolled back up. Right?
Cool.
Okay?
Got it.
Gimbal.
Action. I took charge of the technology instead of the technology taking charge of me. The truth is, we're getting the stuff, and we're getting it in a way that's actor-friendly, crew-friendly, and budget-friendly, schedule-friendly. Great week. Week 5, stellar.
One will prosecute. One will prosecute.
Your chances are less than 1%.
Yeah, boy.
In order to get the visual effects pipeline going for the 800 or so visual effects shots, Steve Rifkin and Chris Kapp and I have to turn over the sequences, fine cut, and we're only at the 60th day of shooting.
Now, all this stuff, this is in the dogfight, feet wet, that's a separate deal. So, so the definition of where it actually begins will be here.
This is a big pain in the ass because basically we're being asked to make final decisions on the movie without ever having seen the entire movie. So it's as if any unit of the movie can be complete unto itself, which is not the way an organic film or narrative works. But we're trying to give them 70 shots to get going on.
One of the things we realized early on for selling speed is that you have to have some context, some sort of background to visualize speed. If you have a plain blue sky and a profile shot of a cockpit with a pilot in it, they could be going a light speed and you wouldn't know. So you need some sort of context. Rob always wanted us to have them cut through the air like they were in this three-dimensional volume. You need clouds or atmosphere or some sort of vapor going by. Not only selling speed and volume, but depth as well. All these things kind of played together in all the shots, this kind of key visual effects considerations.
So we're coming in, his engine flames out. His rig was going to do the starboard cant, then it hits this nose. Yeah. And the number 1 landing gear gives out the last of the landing gears, which drives the nose down to the ground, and it starts to shovel.
We're in Alaska. It was going to be in New Zealand, but we could never have done this there. So we're in Schofields, and Digital Mode are going to make it look like Alaska. We're doing a dust setup to establish Ben landing. So we've got this elaborate tracking vehicle to get a bit of in-camera stuff rather than the usual green screen.
We're going to drop the cockpit portion as if it is the wheels have collapsed. We're just going to shoot debris on it like it's digging up the roadway, sparks, have a lot of fun.
Oh, we have 6 air movers blasting these wood chips that look like broken asphalt as his nose digs in. On the take, I'm down here feeding the air movers like a wombat.
Okay, can we clear around the plane then? Can we take the safeties off, please?
Dean, when the wing goes over, I think everybody's got to go up a gear and shake. You know, and then when the nose happens, up a little more.
Yeah, I've loosened the head off a bit, so I'll get a bit more wham out of it.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, everybody's pretty good. Good luck to us all. Ready? Action! 2! And 3! Cut it.
Okay, rip your visor off, Josh, for your air. Yeah, baby.
Good job, effects man.
All right,
Good
thanks,
job,
Rob. I'll tell
everybody. It's all one process. It is a gigantic process making a movie, whether it's an indie movie or a Hollywood movie, whether it's digital video or, Panavision, anamorphic, all the bells and whistles. There is a price to doing this kind of action. I mean, it is a dangerous, dangerous business.
Like the Alaskan explosion, there's no way that you could previs that to the extent that we shot it. It was probably one of the best explosive effects shot that I've ever seen anywhere in any film, ever.
You can set lenses and make things look smaller or larger. I'm trying to make sure it looks larger. Larger and faster generally being better in an action film.
We're at Schofield Barracks where the Eddie inside is blasting rockets out, and then a wave of rockets are going to come out, blasting all 5 cars. We've been testing for like 4 weeks with the car flippers, and each time we do it, it keeps getting better and better. We put the jerk backs on it. Now we got cars just ripping, huge, heavy cars flying 150 feet.
In order to pull off the Schofield explosion, I could only turn to John Fraser and Jim Schwamm, who are my longtime effects associates, because they are the true masters.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, action!
Johnny, no, Johnny, you landed it right.
From our perspective, this is a very full-on shot. We've got 400 events happening in 2 to 3 seconds. Inside, we've got a heap of firepower, which is throwing sand out through the doors. There's 60 panels will be flying through the air at high speed. There's 5 cars which will be flying through the air as well. It happens in a shockwave. So anywhere where you think you're safe, come and check with us first, because we've got stuff hidden everywhere. We've got heavy objects landing all around them. There's wind machines running. We've got a full snowstorm while this is all happening. Hearing protection will definitely be needed. There'll be an enormous shockwave. It'll be full on, I can assure you. The nitrogen cannon, once they're loaded, no one should cross any steel cables, because in the event of a misfire of any sort, there'll be a very high-speed car coming at you.
This is the only thing we have to do tonight, which is big enough. So we want to do it safely and orderly and quietly and methodically. And we have nothing to do between now and dawn but pull this shot off, and I know we will.
Okay, we'll start plotting 14 cameras.
A lot of cameras, a lot of film. Probably more film exposed in this one shot than we would normally shoot in the whole day with a dialogue scene. There's 14 cameras and they'll probably all run 400 or 500 feet each, maybe. That's about 6,000 feet in 2 seconds or something.
This is one thing to make a shot list and draw little things and cars and at home on your couch or in your study. It's another thing when you're really out here and the dimensions of the blast are very clear. And so, it's just experience, making wrong guesses in the past and thinking, I'll never be so far away from the explosion again. Other times you go, I'm tight to it and I don't really understand the geography, so I didn't do enough masters. So it's years of doing it and failing, doing it and succeeding, and learning, and then taking chances, because you got to be on a really big movie, and it's got to have the resources and the intention to do this. And when they come along, it's special for everybody. I mean, not many directors get 14 cameras to play with and helicopters and all this talent. And so we've got to bring home the sizzling bacon. Better be sizzling.
Rehearsal, and 3, 2, 1, action!
obviously we're fueling these guys up because we're saying that bits of the fuel have actually hit them and ignited them. We put a bit of solid fuel gel on them, and then just before we go we spritz them, which is a fuel and it's atomised. That way it'll ignite easier.
Okay, Dave, you guys have the floor.
We're ready to start rolling in. Yeah, should be all radios off and all cell phones.
Okay, everywhere. All right. All cell phones switched off during the fueling process.
Okay, ready to fire. Circuit S1 again. Firing 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's the biggest setup I've ever. I've been doing this for 24 years. I've done 125 movies, and this is the biggest single setup we've ever done.
When we call cut, no one is to enter the perimeter area until we get the clear go-ahead from the special effects department.
Sometimes you get behind the lens and think it's a movie. You go, hey, here comes that car. It's just like a movie. I was doing Running Man. Schwarzenegger was supposed to run up the slag heap like a dune buggy. Was supposed to chase him. It hit its skid plate. It took out 2 Panaflexes. The operators and assistants bailed. And it's the only reason they're alive.
After that, the camera departments can go in to make safe on the cameras, and the fire departments can come in and distinguish any fires.
Connecting wires with the hip cord. We need that time.
Okay, standing by. Final steps are coming in now.
Okay, cameras are standing by. Wait for fuel and arms.
Base cam is set. Copy. You're clear for takeoff. Copy that. We're going airborne.
Notifications go all the way to air traffic control, all the way down to people who do monitor satellites, that they knew in advance that this was going to happen.
So you want to arm up, Dave?
Are we good to go, Dave?
Okay, standing by.
Okay, stand by. Next guys, we're about to go up. We're in sequence.
Okay, ready to fire.
3, 2, 1, action.
That was great.
Give me the all clear, give me the all clear.
Cut! All right.
All clear on the stuff. Do not go in until the effects get a bit clearer.
Not the average day in the office. Oh, it's a big bang, baby. Oh, it's a big bang. Couldn't have been any cooler. That couldn't have been any cooler.
Okay, that's a big gate checks and a wrap.
I'd originally scouted an area of the Blue Mountains called Mount Hay, where we were set to shoot some of Kara's survival. And right before we were to depart, I got a call from Bennett Walsh, our line producer, who told me we had run into one hell of a legal snafu.
This is National Park at the bottom of the escarpment, so...
So we won't go down there.
Yeah, that's right.
And this will go on and on and on and on. And I'm not going tonight's to the climactic sequence where we're not prepared.
The other scenario is we go Monday, Tuesday to this new location that we don't know.
Well, it's not ideal, but it makes a lot of sense.
The judges decided they haven't upheld our appeals or calls for appeal, so it's got to go to 3 judges, and we just have to make a decision because we've got to shoot.
It's just not worth this kind of grief. Anyway, we will do it elsewhere and just as well and with even more imagination because that's what happens sometimes.
We didn't get our Hollywood ending yet, but there's still another chapter to play.
Next chapter, North Korea.
We are in an area, I believe,
called Megalong Valley on the way toward Jeep Creek. Trusty Justin is taking us down a road I am not planning to drive. The location we are approaching is North Korea. Approaching our climax of the film, we have a Korean village down here by way of the Blue Mountains.
And now!
Rob has really been helping me a lot. I really had to grow up into this woman, and it's been interesting to be the youngest on set. You know, these guys have worked in the business for a long time, and it's just you learn from them every day.
You wanna stay high, okay? Take your head
like a,
lifts you,
like that.
as opposed to knocks you over.
Yeah.
It lifts you vertically. Very good. Let's hear it for our PhD of Hero School, Jessica Biel.
The DMZ in our imagination and the DMZ in real life are completely different. This is a very tense border between North and South Korea. There are electrified fences, gun turret stations, guard posts. It's fairly foreboding. It's the most landmine real estate probably in the world. Now, the irony of the DMZ in real life is that because no one can go there, it's become like a wildlife sanctuary. Well, that's not what I wanted for the climax of the film. I didn't want Jessica Biel crawling through the Garden of Eden. I wanted it to be more like what I had seen in pictures of World War I battlefields.
We took a location and turned it into a very dramatic set. The drama of the scene and the action just came together as one, and it looked fantastic.
You know, basically create this almost hell on land, and the crew then had to work inside of that, which was dirty and violent and, you know, extremely tough to work in, to say the least. It was on fire. It was, you know, I mean, it was extremely realistic.
Ben, his run to Yoon, he comes out towards her. He comes through this. Yoon, he's running here. I'd like some obstructions that from his sniper position break up his view of Ben, get to the road, get spotted, and dive and back in there.
All right, get down! Get down! Action!
Parachute flares that we're actually firing to the air are very small and don't give a lot of illumination. So we're using what's called lycopodium, which is what they used to use in the flash guns in the early part of the century that'd ignite. Remember seeing those? This is a 2004 version of it that comes under pressure into a pilot light, and it forms a light 8 or 10 feet high and 4 or 5 feet wide, which gives a large amount of illumination over a large area, but also because it's a flame, it has movement. Then you can see the shadows moving slightly over the ground.
Last week of shooting in Australia. It's like 4 a.m. It's cold, but it's fun. I love the running and all the, you know, crawling and dirty and stuff, but it's like 4:30.
When you hit, stay down.
I will.
Don't try to go to the next piece. Just flatten and wait for cut.
Okay.
Okay?
You got it.
It's a shootout from the tower. She's dived into the building, and as the flares come up, they start ripping into the building. And then we've got about 130 hits, which run about a foot of det cord in each one. We've got about 30 metres of cord in the building, and it'll just shred it completely. It should bring it right down to ground level.
I just gotta be all that. Roll sound. And camera.
And action. And cut. Very good, mate.
You happy?
Yeah, it's all great.
Probably one of the things that's in debate is which explosion is the best. We had a fuel air explosion.
Yeah, baby. Good.
Very happy with that.
A tower that gets annihilated. Each one was getting bigger and better. The last explosion was the pile of crap.
Between two cranes, they suspended
the bag of crap.
Bundle of
known as the bundle of crap explosion.
And it was suspended above the drop zone, and we put probably 8 cameras on it, and they just blew the crap out of it.
I got to run from those explosions.
You're not actually acting anymore. You actually are really, truly trying to survive and get out of the experience that you're in.
And I want a big bundle of crap. The beauty of it is there's going to be that moment when everything's up there.
We want as minimal people behind here as possible, please.
Cable is at tension now.
Shooting. Roll sound. Roll cameras.
Ready and action! And cut! Let's hear it for the big bundle of crap and Dave and Dan and the whole effects team. Jesus. We called it if the camera didn't melt.
Componentry of the jets were made out of magnesium alloy, and some of them caught on fire and fell into where the cameras were. So I remember going, God, we're going to lose a camera, you know, and we couldn't put this fire out. The only way you can stop it is with CO2, because water just exacerbates it. We got the camera out, we saved all the footage, and you know, it all worked out really well.
Cooked one stop. Which one's cooked one stop.
And man, did they ever do it. That's one of the best explosions I've ever been part of.
We're going to the naval base in Coronado, San Diego, to embark on the USS Abraham Lincoln. It's going to be a hell of a trip.
Everyone here knows what an amazing adventure it's going to be and how exciting, and I mean, it's a lifetime experience. You're never going to get the opportunity to do something like this again.
I miss the DMZ.
Day one, this is. Here we go. A carrier is a very challenging environment. It's intense.
I'm sure there were spy satellites up there looking, what are they doing? Because we're building the Talon, and it was this futuristic plane. It was craned up on the aircraft carrier, and the Lincoln went out.
We were on the USS Lincoln, a 180,000-ton nuclear aircraft carrier. The Navy has generously lent us this toy, and we are in the heart of the real war machine. They tell us we can use one of the big elevators to bring our equipment up, we can. When they tell us we can't, we can't. This is a very dangerous 4.5 acres, this flight deck. You've got to work very carefully with their cooperation, and they've been terrific. All right, I better go back to director.
We let them know that this is one of the most hazardous environments that they'll ever work in. There are more hazards to lives and property than almost any other work environment that's out there. They are being protected by and they're being helped by folks that aggressively operate in that environment and do so safely day in and day out.
It is that intense to keep people from being killed. The day I got there, I went, I don't want any pretty shots. I wanted an overcast, I want it flat, I want the work of the war machine to be clear.
He didn't want any of the standard views that you usually see from the standard places on an aircraft carrier. He wanted us to get the camera right in the middle of the action. And quite amazing to me, they would let us get right next to the planes, particularly as they're landing and coming and taxiing around and parking. So much so that our crew, frankly, was a little scared. They wouldn't always go, even where the safety guys said you could go. They'd heard stories about people being sucked into jet engines and heads being chopped off by propellers. we did get some great footage being really right in the middle of it. I never knew how frustrating, directing could be, because you'd see a shot starting to happen. It's so loud, you can't hear anybody talking. You have earmuffs on, and we'd get the camera operator and the whole crew, we'd get them over into position, and just as we're all set to shoot, something would happen and make it not possible to get it.
What do you mean you weren't, bro? I know.
Aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln, Hangar Deck 2. What was your question?
Have you been sleeping?
Yeah, I slept about 3 hours this week. I got a good room. I'm directly under the third catch line, right under the flight deck. It sounds remotely like BAM! That's what it sounds like every 20 seconds, but the bathrooms are nice.
A few sleepless nights. I think it's not exactly like a 4-star hotel.
The hallways are so tight and as everybody's moving, you really have to get out of the way if someone's going to come by. Everything's so small. It didn't really hit me until I actually walked out on the flight deck this morning, how huge it was.
This is our 7-day tour of duty, right?
We're shooting our last scene and all our cool stuff that we need to shoot on the carrier.
We actually went, where the fighter pilots, were, got a chance to just kind of feel the planes out, to be able to show different facets of everybody's life when it comes to war and disaster. That's what we try to represent.
That was a really kind of an exciting thing to do. The planes are flying around and all this kind of thing. It's a big deal when you're dealing with an aircraft carrier.
Right phones are already ringing, trust me. Steady up. Steady now.
I think one thing we have achieved really well is the realistic ballet of how this environment works and how delicate this kind of choreography of man and a machinery is, with a sole purpose of the defense of our country.
I think the highlight is the catapult launch. You're in the seat facing backwards, and when the catapult goes, instantly you're at 3 Gs. It was, talk about your 8 ticket rides.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Can I have your attention, please? I'd like to welcome all cast and crew on VIP charter flight direct service to Chiang Mai. Please proceed to gate number 59 for boarding. Thank you.
We will soon be ready for takeoff. Please ensure that your seat is in upright position, your seatbelt is securely fastened, your table stowed, and that your cabin luggage has been placed in the overhead compartment. We wish you a pleasant flight.
Today was pretty magnificent, to be honest with you. Today was a really rare day on this movie because we're in this beautiful location here in Thailand and just celebrating the part of this movie that's really, really light, which is very small.
DMZ did it to me. Watch, touch, see it close?
I love it. The crew's arriving as we speak. It's great.
No idea what we're going to be able to hear over this. This whole sequence in Thailand was always important to me because it's about why we don't go to war. We got this gift of this planet. We got to work it out some other way. What's ironic is that we were supposed to film in Phuket, and terrorism forced us into Chiang Mai. And just like the Green Party in Australia forced us into better locations in the Blue Mountains, and it's a better movie than a beach movie. I got Adam and Eve and 2 elephants.
We're at
the Buddhist temple here in lovely Chiang Mai, and we're setting up a shot on the Phoenix crane. We're pulling back from the monks that are praying to the Buddha to reveal Henry looking through the tunnel.
Well, we ain't in Kansas anymore.
The dreaded sniper.
We would need a more positive start.
One bite of this venom, and you'll dance all night. It's considered the happy worm. I've been called that a couple of times myself.
Rob really brings the crew together. He creates this solidarity, and so there's a camaraderie that is in the shooting, which always makes it a great experience.
He's a man who absolutely powerfully knows what he wants. And I think that's how you drive a movie like this, which is a huge undertaking. It's got a massive imagination. Now, this is a movie I have no idea what it'll turn out to be because so much of it is created in green screen imagery. And so it's all been, this imagination that's had to drive a huge amount of people to help them understand what he sees inside of his head. And it's something that takes a real, pirate leader in a sense.
And cut.
Nutting.
That's good. Thank you.
As we were developing the script, Rob had an impulse that we're in the planes so much, and we were thinking about the perspective of the pilots, that when you're here on Earth, you see things in a different way. So it's a really kind of great respite in the midst of the action. It's a place for the characters to kind of connect in the film before the really high-powered stuff kicks in.
Robert E. Lee said, and I'm paraphrasing, "It is a good thing that war is so terrible, unless we learn to like it too much." That's at the heart of stealth, in that what is going to stop us from making war if human casualty become not an issue and it's only machines that die? What are the checks and balances? One of the reasons I put in the Thai sequence, I tried to fold in everything that I feel is an intelligent alternate to war. The spirituality of the Buddhist temple. There's luscious food, the plenitude of the earth, the friendship among the three of them, and the joy of living in this peaceful Buddhist Thailand. You can't make a movie about war unless you also make a movie about peace and give the audience its choice.
This is the last night, and we are at this beautiful restaurant. It's the Grand Lana Hotel in the middle of Chiang Mai, Thailand. It's, around midnight, and everyone is crawling their way to a 6 a.m. finish, but it's the very last night of shooting for most of the crew. So.
There's a part of the movie business that's extremely sad, which is it's sort of like this carnival life and circus life. It's the last of the circus life businesses. I look around here and, all of these people, they're absolutely intimately known to me now on a daily basis. Their first names, their last names, their work, what they do, their proclivities, their habits, whether they smoke, don't smoke, whether they're funny, not funny. Every single thing that you can know, and you love. I love them. I feel like it's been a big family. And then you just say one night, you go wrap, and that's it. They're gone. And you may see them again, and you may not. It's always that mixed feeling. I try to look around the last night and remember all the faces and what it felt like to be here with everybody, and always cherish the time that we spent together. And that maybe is all it's meant to be. But, the circus comes into town, and the circus leaves town. And check the gate.
Cutting.
And in the immortal words of D.W. Griffith,
If the gate is good, that's a wrap. You know, each film stretches you, but each film enlarges you, and if you've been successful, it gives you the momentum to try something even harder. And I suppose the corollary is, if you fail, it's going to be a really big failure. But I'm not going to fail. I got a strong feeling about this. We'll see how it goes on the next phase, assembling the millions of feet of film.
Stealth, I think, is artful entertainment. It's achieving a level of reality and then pushing it a step beyond that to create art. We here at Digital Domain are always struggling in achieving, photorealism. It's what we do best, I think. There's many forms that photorealism can take. You have a choice to make when you're doing that to push it in a direction, and that's really where the art comes in.
One of the interesting experiences for me on making Stealth was that when I started it, the script read like science fiction. Sometimes the hypothesis of a movie becomes the reality in the time that it takes to make the movie.
It was really important to Rob that everything that exists in the movie be either viable today or viable in the next 10 years. And that's all truthful. It's all there. Over 62,000 frames of visual effects, 655 shots, 2,600 seconds, 44 minutes.
We've got a lot of artists working on workstations. A lot of elements feed to the compositors. The compositors basically put together all the elements. Live action elements, 3D animation, miniature footage. At a certain point when the shot looks like it's getting close, and we have a workstation that we call the Commander, which is a 2K high-resolution viewing station for comment or approval to go to the film.
Sounds like you want to have some areas that are becoming smoky almost immediately. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think it's a danger to introduce such a powerful element so close to the cut.
Even though we've been seeing it in other shots?
It's very dangerous to introduce new information, 4 frames or whatever from a cut. Because what it does is the eye sees something, but it can't have any time to register, so it's like it makes the cut look not right.
Any shots that had made it to that stage, we would review with him on film in the screening room to see the next wave of shots that are hopefully approved on film in that room, in that format.
We show him some shots for final, and other shots are works in progress. All the artists that are working on the show are in the screening room. We're about 135 people on the show at this point, and they just barely fit in there.
That's great. All those are approved.
All right.
The bell is a bit of a sacred thing that we love to hear when a shot is officially approved, and the artist and everybody else can have some sense of closure that the bell is rung and it is in the books and will be in the film, and they can move on to the next thing.
That's so good. That's approved again.
There's nothing better than the bell.
One to control, we've had a lightning strike. The UCAV seems to be very unstable.
Different scenes demand different types of approaches. There were several techniques used to indicate speed, obviously blowing by camera at high speed. There'd be other times when we'd be simulating a camera person attempting to keep a jet in frame or follow focus and not hitting it exactly. Digital Domain would introduce high-frequency oscillation in shots where shots would shake as if they were vibrating because the planes were going so fast. These are all things that happen in real life that we try to simulate so that in a CG world, we're not trying to present these images in a too perfect manner where they don't look believable. It's all in the realm of trying to make this look like real photography. Generally speaking, what I would do is put a scene into a first cut form, viewing the dailies, looking at the script supervisor's notes, and some dialogue with Rob, trying to get a sense of things that are important to him in specific scenes. My goal is to get it as close to what he's looking for the very first time he sees it.
I also think we need a tail trim on, it's going to need the net.
Rob and I work very well together. I think that we find solutions to problems together. We changed a lot of story points, and we're able to do that because of one thing that comes to mind is a very unique situation is Eddie is not shot in lip sync, so we can have him say whatever we want him to say.
I have organized the network-centric spy satellites. Here is some new data.
It would be as if you could take what an actor says and change it.
I think we're pretty good, Steve.
Yeah,
I think the
it's
sequence is really much better and it's like truer.
There have been points where there's a conscious effort to make something that has not just speed, actually, but the feeling of flight. Rob kept saying to me, I want to feel gravity. What does that sound like, gravity pulling us to Earth? And you start to break it down in musical terms, and it's like, okay, the pacing has to change. It's almost like expansion, but it feels like weight. Expansion to the point where something can no longer hold that much mass, so it has to fall. Working with people that don't speak the language of music can be really tough for someone that's lived their entire life entrenched in that language. What's so amazing about Rob is Rob ran Motown. He completely gets it. It's amazing how much he actually speaks and can communicate music.
This movie, we wanted to move to the next level of music and to do things that hadn't been done before. So the result is a symphonic score with a hugely powerful electronic element, new techniques like granular synthesis. Yeah. And you can hear in these parts, shut up.
Sorry.
I'm talking about you.
I get excited when I hear granular synthesis.
Me too, baby.
This film is all about technology and humanity and where they collide. The more humanity component to this being these big orchestral themes, and then the technology component being this really esoteric, very modern electronic music, stuff like IDM, glitch stuff. It sounds like machines breaking. I come from the whole record world, but I'm a bit of a misfit. Although people have this perception of me as an electronic artist, I studied classical music my whole youth. I studied string writing and counterpoint and orchestration. But I got very involved in electronics because electronic music really is sort of the final sonic frontier. This is what you live for, is coming here to a place like this and getting to hear every note and every line of counterpoint you've written actualized.
Music has rhythm, and that rhythm can create a certain amount of intensity that a film has, and emotion. Sound effects has rhythm, but it's not as obvious because it's not at a pulse. But the way sound effects wrap around the music and the way the music makes room for the sound is, in fact, the choreography of the sense of speed. Speed is a feeling, not a visual. When you're in a go-kart, you can go 20 miles an hour and feel you're like in a life-threatening situation. So speed is a relative thing from an inner sense. So the visual tells you it's fast, but the sound and music make you feel and therefore know that it's fast.
This is day 27 of Nonstop. So that's where we're at right now, and this is the final frontier.
On Stealth, the first thing that we wanted to make great are the jets. Rob is into unique. Rob is into cool. And that's what we try and do. He always tests my ability. I recorded approximately 60 hours of material just for jets for this film, but there are really no real jet sounds in the movie. Some of the sounds that we used are Top Fuel dragsters, funny cars, race cars, animals, sounds that have a signature whoosh. And my goal and Rob's goal is to absolutely be certain that the jets are different and the jets are cool and the jets are scary fast. He definitely raises my game.
We're at a digital house in Los Angeles called eFilm. What happens is we shoot negative film in the cameras, and that film is, once it's edited, the negative is then sent here where every frame is scanned at about 2 seconds a frame to scan it. It's then manipulated like a giant Photoshop. You can change colors, you can change any part of the frame, any part of the frame can be isolated. And I come in the mornings for 2 or 3 hours with a colorist, a guy called Steve Bowen, and then Rob comes in and will give his notes. When you're done, the film is scanned back onto a negative, what's called an S-star negative. And the beauty of it is that you can run contact prints. So it means one generation. Every generation you go, the film deteriorates. So you're coming now off an original negative from digital, just comes out clean, clean, clean.
We're in the last leg of the journey. 3-4 weeks ought to finish it up. I got 8 visual effects shots to final out of 800 or something.
The last few weeks are amazingly intense. And then today, last 6 shots approved, it's done. And it's like, okay.
Every time you finish a movie, you're happy and sad. You're happy that you climbed this huge mountain with all these pitfalls and it's over and you actually finished it and it turned out well and here's an actual movie. But it's sad because now you got to start again, and that means starting from ground level and climbing that big mountain again, and that's always daunting at first.
You spend an enormous amount of hours supporting and guiding and working with the people who are making incredible looking imagery, and they become very close to you, and it's sometimes difficult to step away from that.
After 2.5 years on Stealth, it's been the longest, hardest I've ever worked. It's really because of Rob Cohen. He has the ability to pull out of you more than you thought you could deliver. Everybody believed in the project and they felt appreciated for what they were doing. And those two things together make it possible to actually enjoy killing yourself. I'm still alive, thank God. But I was nip and tuck there for a while. Or touch and go.
So we're done, you know, that's it.
Jamie, looking right here, please. Jessica, right here, please.
I never thought I'd live to see this day, to have completed this thing, that it even got made to begin with. And all the things we faced and all the things we solved and all the laughs and some of the frustration and winds up here on Little Doom Beach on a marine lair, foggy morning, wonderful waves. It's good to live to see this day. Everything that I've done since I had my heart attack 14 years ago has been to try to find a spiritual life that works for me. Being a survivor is also its own metaphor, because some people look at my career and say, well, you know, I guess the biggest thing he did is he reinvented himself and he survived. The truth is, if you can hang on, you believe in yourself, you don't get defeated, and follow your instincts absolutely without second guessing, then you'll get in a flow. And it's like when you catch a wave that you're not thinking about. You paddle, you pop, and suddenly you're on the face. And when you get that moment, you can have that moment out in the ocean, you can have that moment in Hollywood. But it comes from staying in the game. You'll have your mornings on the waves. And that's more than anyone should even ask.
Su-37 Terminators in 2.5 seconds and 2.5 miles, and I have no idea what I'm saying.
All right, got.
I could ride that shot.
You know, macho. You get makeup on your chin and shit. So to all the homies out there watching, this is just, you know, part of it. I'm not soft by no means. Could you get this spot right here?
You are not allowed to use that. I didn't know you were here. Hey!
There it is, Steph.